Do you remember the cow?
Moo.
The only one cow that used to live on Coney Island. He was a lonely guy. He would live and graze by himself. So since 2026 is his 10th anniversary, I figure I tell the story of the one and only wild cow of Singapore, or affectionately known as the cow.
Moo.
Moo. Moostyerious Origins. So the cow was discovered when the dam crossings were built to Coney Island. Did you know Coney Island had a dam? I didn't know that either. There's a dam there that blocks the water. NParks actually said that it had been grazing there for a few years before the park opened, which is in 2015. So that means he had like a little life on the island by himself for a few years before the public had access to the island. Conspiracy! This cow is a Brahman bull, a species native to South Asia, and it's a pretty resilient species, right? Their average lifespan, if cared for properly, is like 15 to 20 years. And you see that weird hump on its back that kind of resembles a camel? Well, that stores fat and water, and it allows it to survive in pretty harsh conditions. But the main question is, how did it even get there? Well, here are some theories. So generally speaking, the origins of the cow are quite mysterious. NParks suggested that it could have wandered in from Punggol or Lorong Halus. According to my Googling, Lorong Halus used to have cattle farms from the 1950s to the 1980s, and Punggol used to have pig farms from the 1970s to the 1990s. And I mean, pig farms obviously had pigs, but they also did keep other livestock. So assuming that all the farms closed by the 90s, there could have been, wild cow escapades.
Moo.
There could have been some wild cow family escapees who were just living in the wild, and the cow just happened to be the last of his dynasty. That sounds really sad now that I think about it. R.I.P.
Moo.
Another theory is that he fell off a boat transporting live cattle and had to swim his way to shore. I mean, imagine what that's like, right? You're chilling with your bros, probably all cooped up, and then suddenly splash, you're in the water. And you're swimming, and then you're like, oh my god, am I gonna survive? I might die, move. And then suddenly, bam, you're on an island. You're on an island, and there's grass everywhere. Bachelor's paradise. A theory I have is that he swam in from a cattle farm in Malaysia. I mean, imagine, right? A runaway cow who thought, I want to be different. I want to make an impact on society, step away from the herd and do something else. And so we thought, maybe I could go to Singapore and I could start a business or something.
Nani?
And then he swam his way to Coney Island and was like, wow, this place is great. And then he just kept eating grass every day. And was like, maybe I'll start tomorrow. Have a bit more grass. Take a nap. What's another day of grass? Sound familiar? Well, whatever the story is, he somehow found his way to Coney Island, and there he settled. A bull's life for Moo. So when NParks found him, apparently he was really sick and malnourished, but they managed to nurse him back to health. And I think it's an important point that NParks nursed him back to health. So he was already unwell when he arrived and when they found him, and then they made him better. Okay, it's important. He was just happily grazing on the natural vegetation of the island. But of course, when Coney Island opened, there would be humans, and so NParks put up this infamous sign on how to interact with the cow. And Singaporeans need the directive. We need the example. We're like, when we see cow, what we do? Is it magic? Can we touch? Yeah, you know those aunties that get bitten by the otters? It's basically for them. Like, the sign is for them. But I don't know whether these people would read the sign. Anyway, what to do when you encounter the cow? Don't be alarmed if you see a cow in the park. The animal is a Brahman, a breed of Zebu cattle. The breed is known for being shy and gentle. Should you come across it, just remember, do stay calm and walk slowly away from the cow. Avoid approaching the cow as it may feel threatened.
Moo.
Running may cause it to give chase. Do not use flash photography. This may upset the cow and cause it to turn aggressive. Do not disturb or try to take close-up photos with the cow. This may upset the cow and cause it to turn aggressive. Do not shout at or provoke the cow. A cow, loud noises may startle the cow. A cow, you got milk, while provoking it may cause it to turn aggressive. Give me your money. Do you see a pattern? I think I see a pattern here. Do not feed the cow. The cow has plenty of natural food in this environment. Animals that are used to human feeding may become aggressive. All of this literally is just the cow is pissed. Animal, be angry if you do anything. Move back. Moo. But a lot of people enjoyed going to Coney Island to kind of look for the cow. I don't know how that traumatized the cow. Hopefully that didn't put it in too much stress. But since the park opened in 2015, like it was about a year when the people would be going to look for him. He would also undergo like annual vet checks to make sure that everything was well with the cow, which is also how it all ended. A cattle-strophic ending! So during their routine health checkups, they would always sedate the cow, and in this health screening, they couldn't revive him after. So the post-mortem apparently said that he already had like heart and lung conditions, and therefore he probably died during the sedation. Of course, I mean, NParks did say that he was an iconic part of Coney Island and he would definitely be missed. But let's read some of those Facebook comments, okay? He was a real gangster, right? Roaming about the island without caring about anyone. So somebody said that she was very saddened to hear this and that she visited Coney Island and her sons were so excited to see a cow. I mean, how often do you see large animals roaming around freely in Singapore? The answer is never. If you see a wild boar, it's scary, okay? At least cows, like, they've got gentle, more chill energy over a wild boar. I'm scared of wild boars. Okay, a lot of people were like, RIP Mr. Cow. And then a lot of people also were like, we've never seen it. But I have to say, there are some conspiracy theorists out there who were like, the cow was fine before humans started invading its home, and now we have to give it checkups for the safety of the visitors. You know, it is also just to make sure that the cow is well and also that it doesn't diseases happen between animals and humans. So I honestly think that it's just for public safety, and I think that it makes sense. They didn't nurse it back to health at the start, so I would just think that the cow probably wasn't very well. It also didn't have a herd. It was just doing its best to live its life out. So, I mean, hey, okay, I ain't a conspiracy theorist. I just believe what people tell me because I'm gullible. I'm glad that the cow managed to spend his last few years on Coney Island just having a good time, just eating and probably being traumatized by some children. And then, some people said that they should rename the place Coney Island, which I think was cute. Honestly, I don't know why it's called Coney Island if there's no actual Coney Island significance. I did do some research on the history of why it's called Coney Island, and it's apparently some businessman was like, I want to make this like the Coney Island of the Singapore, like the New York Coney Island that has like recreational parks and stuff. But girl, where? And I think that it's a great and important part of nature to be conserving that island instead of developing it. I'm looking at you, OBS camp that is there. Yes, there's an OBS camp that they had to deforest like a bunch of the island. Why? Do you really need that? Do we need that? Can we just do other things? And in tribute to the cow, I decided to write a poem about him and about his life. And I hope you will stay and listen to my art. They said Coney Island. You said, at last, a home. Coney's cow, the cow. Oh, how they were all just fools. When all was said and done, you were truly a bull. It's not even a cow. It's not even a cow. They didn't even get it right. I'm telling you, this is some bull.